The following is a Bearded Broadcaster Productions podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Breakfast Time with Waffle and Richard. I'm your host, Richard Martin, along with William Waffle Cantor. Waffle, how's it going, Ben?
Going good, man. Doing well. Another good day at work. Tough day at work, but excited to be here. Ready to talk it all.
Absolutely. It's that time of year, if you work in sports too, where everything's about to happen. The football season starts this week for college football officially, and we'll talk, of course, a lot about that. But we'll look back. Thank y'all for tuning into this first episode. Got a lot of good reactions and got a pretty good amount of listens, if I do say so myself. So thank y'all for tuning in. And it's actually growing. We're now available on Google Podcast, according to Anchor. Sent me an email the other day. And by the way, if we reach 50 listeners, we can get sponsored, which means home field apparel. Come on, man. I got on the Onward to Victory green jersey game, Notre Dame shirt tonight. And it's soft, it's comfortable, and beautiful. Waffle, you got one of the newest shirts on.
I got one of the newest ones, man. I got some little Boise State action going on here. Boise State with the old Bronco logo. It's a beautiful shirt. Feels good, if I do say so myself.
Beautiful Bronco. They got one that commemorates the hook and lateral Statue of Liberty play as well at homefieldapparel.com. So, hey, Homefield, you're getting this for free, but come on, man. Let's work together. Let's do it. It could be a beautiful relationship. Like I can just see it now. This week's, of course, big news Saturday, I don't know if you saw, is North Carolina. So we won't hold that against you. I'm
really tempted because, they give you a couple skips. I'm tempted to skip it, but I think my love of just cool T-shirts, like I don't like North Carolina, but it's probably going to be a dope shirt. It's probably going to be a sick design.
They've got such a great color scheme. It's like, you know what? It's going to be beautiful. Bill Ramsey's logo is going to make an appearance probably. The Tar Heels going to make an appearance. It's going to be nice.
And I think of it probably like, even if whenever they get Clemson, if I'm doing the big news Saturday, I'm probably going to get the shirt.
Yeah.
What is happening right now? Sorry, there's some kind of ad playing, and I am very confused as to what's going on. Okay. All right. Sorry.
All right, we're good.
ESPN tabs open. I just decided to start playing an ad, so sorry.
We didn't.
But what I was saying is, if Clemson comes out with the shirt for Big News Saturday and I'm still subscribing to it, I'll probably get it because it's going to be a cool design, whatever it's going to be. Yeah. I'm not going to wear it, but I will get it.
I mean, we talked about this, North Carolina. I mean, that's one step closer to Duke.
It is one step closer to Duke. And that's going to go broke.
Just absolutely broke. Take all my money for that. So home field, once again, shameless plug. Now, this week, of course, also the podcast up. But Waff, you had a fun time over in Spartanburg at Ground Zero, an awesome concert that you went to. Tell us all about that.
Yes, sir. So, first concert in, I believe, 2 years when you and I went to New Brooklyn Tavern in Columbia. And saw Wilt Wither and a couple other bands, and good time. But this was awesome. It was such a fun night. It was so nice to get back out there and just get to experience live music again. It was in Spartanburg at Ground Zero, which is a place that you and I are pretty familiar with. It's small, it's intimate, it's hot. It's so hot. It's unbelievably hot. There are literally like 2, maybe 3 just wall AC units, like no central air, just an AC unit. It's honestly terrible, but it's so great at the same time. Like, I don't even know how to describe it, but it was a good time. There were 4 bands there. The first band was actually a band that Richard, you and I saw at New Brooklyn Tavern 2 years ago called Aim High. They're a local band from they're from Columbia. And they played, and they were really good. They played about 5 songs, and they were good, just like they were the first time we saw them. Second band that came on was a band called Fractured Frames, and they're kind of a more Deathcore, which I mean, if you're listening to this podcast, you're probably like, what are you talking about right now? I listen to metal. Richard does as well. But I listen to metal, and there's so many different subgenres. I could create a separate podcast about metal. But deathcore, so basically heavy screamed vocals, you can't understand it. They were fantastic. Probably the highlight of the show, the whole show, the bass player for Fractured Frames during their sound check. Their sound check was taking years, and we're literally probably 30 minutes into it right now. And he's trying to get his bass to work, and you just hear the sound guy in the back, and he's just like, all right, bass, try it again. And he's just strumming, can't get nothing to come out. Finally, the sound comes out, and he just let the crowd goes nuts. And then he looks at the crowd and he says, all right, that was the show. And he left and he walked off the stage, which that was so funny. But and they were great, really surprised by them. Then Paris Bridge came out. Paris Bridge is another local band from the Spartanburg area, but it actually consists a friend of mine and Richard's named Dylan Phipps, who not only is a fantastic vocalist and guitar player, he also does a ton of cool stuff, photography-wise, videography-wise. He is amazing. I'm pretty sure I think it's Dylan Phipps videography. So, if you search that, you could definitely find him, but we'll look it up here in a second and like give him the official plug here. But Dylan's great at everything he does, and I thought his videography and photography were good, but now I got to experience his vocals live and in concert, and he's amazing. So much energy that he brings to the stage, and Paris Bridge put on a fantastic show. They stole the whole show.
So yeah, the update you on that is Phipps Media, Fipps, Phipps Media. It's him and his wife, and you can go to phippsmedia.com for that. You can find him on Facebook, just Phipps Media, and I believe on Instagram at Phipps Media, Fipps Media. So yeah, shout out to them. They do a great job, photography and video, and some of this stuff got used by the last band, and just tell us about the last band.
Yeah, so the last band is a bigger band when it comes to the size of like Paris Bridge and them, but it's a band called Attila. And even if you're not familiar with metal, you might be familiar with the singer. He goes by Franz. His name is Chris Franzak. But he's big, kind of just on all social medias, not necessarily just for the band, but just for kind of being a more outlandish person and just like a wild, crazy guy. But they were awesome. They came out and they killed it. And we had seen them, I think, once at maybe like a Warped Tour. This is the first time I saw them like in an intimate environment like that, and they were fantastic. And yeah, Dylan, whenever Paris Bridge's set was over, he went behind stage and he was taking pictures and filming Attila, and he actually got his video used on Attila's Instagram post. I believe their Instagram is Attila GA because they're from Georgia. But if you go on there, like, and you see their tour video from a couple days ago, probably last Friday. It would be Dylan Phipps's video, which was so cool. But it was just a great night, a hot, sweaty night. I felt like my kidneys were failing me at the end of it. And then I went to QT and I ate 2 taquitos and some pickles, and I felt great. And I rode home. It was awesome.
Dinner of champions right there.
Ain't it? It was amazing. I had to turn up the pickle juice as well. It was great because my whole body felt like it was shutting down.
That's awesome, man. That's an awesome concert. It's great to see concerts back. I can't remember. I think that is the last concert I went to. Was that one with you? I can't even think of the last one.
That, and then before that was the 2 times that we saw Fit for a King in 2018.
Yep, I think so. I think at one point there's a stop in there. I went with my boss in Kennesaw to see. You saw Senses Fail. Yeah, they were really fun. It's been a while since I've seen concert, so hopefully can get to do that some more. But yeah, it's awesome. Also shout out to Hayden Peterson because he just kills it. He follows around Dylan, Paris Bridge, and he's the sweatiest young boy you'll see at every single show they're at. He also makes videos and stuff. So yeah, just shout out to him.
Yeah, their whole crew. Hogan Davison being another one.
Absolutely.
Him and Dylan have a lot of stuff that they make together as well. Hogan is actually TikTok famous as well. So
yeah.
I think his name is Milkweed.
Something like that. I can't remember.
And the 2 E's in weed are 3s. something like that. But he's pretty famous on TikTok for his tattoo reviews. So if you got some crappy tattoos, send them over to him, and he'll probably roast you.
So glad to see a lot of our friends killing it and doing great things as well. And they actually tuned into the podcast last week as well, so we thank them for the support. So now we're going to get back into the meat and potatoes of this podcast. It is college football week 1.
Woo.
Week 0 was last week. Not a whole lot really happened except Nebraska lost again. Illinois. It was a lot worse. It's 30-9. 30-9 at one point.
Yeah.
And Adrian Martinez, God bless him, he tried his hardest, but yes, there's no helping that team right now because they looked lost. And I don't know if you saw the comments today from Scott Frost. They had his press conference today after practice or before practice, and he said, half our game plan went out the window when Illinois lined up in that defensive alignment on the first play.
How
are you not prepared?
How can you do that?
Yeah. It's one, that's something you should never say. Two, How do you not prepare for this? Because it's a conference game. It's not like it's like someone you've never played before or something like that. Right. You played them last year. Right. And I get it's a new coach and all that stuff. You should know somewhat.
Right. When you are on the hot seat, like I think Scott Frost is, you can't come out after your first game and say things like that.
Yeah, and by the way, Scott Frost that was loss number 27 for him at Nebraska, and I believe this is his 4th year. Bo Pelini his entire time at 27 losses, and they fired him because he wasn't getting the job done.
Right. This is not what Scott Frost was brought here to do.
Exactly. So
you said it last week.
Yep. So now, like I said, 5-7. That's probably your peak right now.
Yeah.
Unless you can upset somebody and. Adrian Martinez is a good quarterback, I think. I think he's a pretty good quarterback. It's just a shame that he's stuck. And he stuck it out. I'll give it up for him, but that's just a rough look.
Yeah. So last week I asked about Taylor Martinez, who was a Nebraska quarterback. I had the names wrong. I was asking about Adrian Martinez because I feel like he's been there a long time as well.
I think this is his 4th year, and he's probably got an extra one because of this COVID year. He may stay, he may not. So
right. But shout out to Taylor Martinez back in the day. I think he was the quarterback when they played Carolina in the Capital One Bowl or something. But he was there and he was good as well under Bo Pelini.
Yeah. So, that's just this point. Also, UConn went out to Fresno and got mollywhopped 45-0. This game was over at halftime. Fresno has a good quarterback. Shocker.
Yeah. Jake Hayner.
Yep. 3 touchdown passes. UCLA rolls over Hawaii, and Dorian Thompson-Robinson didn't look great, but they're running back. My goodness. He only had 6 carries, 3 touchdowns, 103 yards.
Yeah.
So, you don't need your quarterback to be accurate when you can do that. So,
right.
We're going to talk about later about UCLA and LSU, but does that give you maybe give you a little more confidence in UCLA next week?
Yeah. I mean, it's got to do something. I can't get over just Chip Kelly being Chip Kelly. Like his return to the Pac-12 after his beautiful stint with Oregon has been anything but the same. It's been terrible. And I'm surprised he's still floating around with head coaching jobs. I figured he would have been demoted back to like a coordinator or something by now. But he's obviously on the hot seat as well. Like he is going to be just like Scott Frost this year. Like he's had plenty of opportunities. Like you got to figure something out, especially at a school like UCLA. Like it shouldn't be that hard to get things together down there, especially with the market that he's in.
Mm-hmm. By the way, I don't know if you saw any of that game. The crowd was horrible for that one. I think there's some restrictions in Los Angeles, of course.
Yeah.
There were maybe 5,000 people at this game.
No, yeah. See, I didn't get to actually watch any of these games, so I do apologize about that. But I was buying a car, and it just took me forever. So I did not get to watch college football Saturday, which I'm not happy about. But my weekend is absolutely clear this weekend. So
awesome. But there was not a whole lot of people. That was also that running back's name was Zach Charbonnet, 3 touchdowns and 103 yards on 6 carries. So it's pretty good. Other than NC Central, they were picked to lose by 17, and they knocked off Alcorn State 23-14.
Yeah.
Did it with a lot of quarterback runs with Davius Richard. 2 rushing touchdowns, and they might be better than that 4-8 record. We'll see. And that's a big time upset for them and getting them back in the right direction. And then, of course, this is my team, San Jose State, defending Mountain West champions. Nick Starkel is their quarterback from Arkansas. You may remember him.
Yep.
And he had a great year last year. This year, they knocked off Southern Utah 45-14. They have a running back. Man, I can't remember his name. I gotta find his name. But
Tyler Nevins.
Yes, Tyler Nevins was described by Spencer Hall of Moon Crew as, quotes, a golden corral of a man. Just short and squatty and running over people like it was nothing. It was awesome to watch. That's the main reason I stayed up and watched that game, just to watch him run the ball, because it was hilarious.
I could mess with some golden corral right now. Like
I'm not gonna lie, I could.
Fat steak with some mashed potatoes and just like fried shrimp and then some ice cream or something. Just a terrible meal, but
Absolutely.
and the quality's really not there. But dang it, there's a lot of it. You can have as much as you want.
Exactly. So yeah, also if you've ever watched the San Jose State game, they're renovating their stadium. I'm pretty sure they've been renovating the stadium for about 6 years now. It's hilarious. They only have they have like a curb in their stands. They have no stands on the away side right now because they've been redoing it, and I think it's taken them forever because of COVID, and they've been raising the money and all that stuff. So it's a unique experience to watch San Jose State Spartans, but they're doing a really good job. And this is a team a few years ago that was like going 2-9 every year. So
yeah,
see them back up and go again. Last year, might say it's a fluke year. They went 7-1, but still, that's a big turnaround from what they were. So
yeah, for sure.
A lot of fun to see them. Then also last week, this ties in. Eastern Illinois played last week. Lost to Indiana State Sycamores 26-21. That leads into this week. South Carolina Gamecock football is back, Waffle. And there is a lot amount of excitement coming out of Columbia with Shane Beamer, new staff. Like we talked about, of course, last week, Doty, will he be ready in time? Will he play?
Yeah.
Got a lot of new faces on this team. But again, start off with Eastern Illinois. That game, by the way, is at 7:00 on ESPN Plus on Saturday. You got a good game to start off with, I think, you're Shane Beamer. That's all you can ask for, is just a game where you can kind of see what your team has.
Yeah.
Hey guys, Richard Martin here. Just want to let you know that we recorded this episode on Monday before South Carolina named their starting quarterback. If you don't know, their starting quarterback is graduate assistant Zev Noland. He'll be starting for the Gamecocks against Eastern Illinois. So this preview may be a little inaccurate, but still, several ideas hold the same, and we still think about the same how South Carolina will do against Eastern Illinois. Thank you for listening.
For sure. I'm definitely looking forward to it. I'm excited, like we talked about last week. The renewed optimism surrounding South Carolina football is fresh and it feels good, and it's just nice to have for once in the past 5-6 years. But I'm just excited to watch these kids play, man. And then I didn't talk much about them or at all last week about anybody on the defense, but Carolina does have a couple guys, especially one guy that is picked to wreak some havoc back there in the backfield, and he's a defensive end. It's Enigbare. He has been there for a couple years, but he has really emerged, and this coming into his final year, I think he's really going to be good. They've definitely talked a lot about him. Kingsley Enigbare is his name, but a 6'4" defensive end, 265 pounds, is out of Atlanta, Georgia. Had a solid year last year. He's always been there, kind of one of the better players. But this year, I think he's picked all SEC, maybe team 2, I think. But I think that our defensive line is going to be very strong, but we literally only have one guy returning in our secondary. And it was the one guy that I did not like at all. So it's RJ Roderick coming back, a senior from Somerville. And just we're going to have a lot of new faces on defense. So this will be a good game to start off with to see, kind of how they're going to mesh on defense and all that. And then I haven't heard anything different as of right now as far as who's going to be starting at quarterback. As far as I still know, Luke Doty is still questionable. And then we have the other guys that could possibly get in there and play that I talked about last week. So, I think South Carolina is going to come out here. I think they're going to play a good game. I think they should for sure be able to get a win. If I had to predict anything, I'd probably say South Carolina wins by 4 touchdowns or more. Hopefully. Who knows? Even in South Carolina's good years, even when South Carolina was going 11-2, they'd struggle with Wofford and they'd be tied going into the fourth quarter, which was a legit thing one year, and we won 24-7. But yeah, it's going to be a good game. 7:00. It's going to be on ESPN Plus and SEC Network Plus. So I mean, if you are a South Carolina fan, that's where you can watch it, and it's also going to be going on during Clemson and Georgia. So I will have the 2 TV setup going, ready to watch it. But I am excited.
Yeah, absolutely. And I watched a little bit of Eastern Illinois game, and they just could not get the edge set on offensive line against Indiana State. And like you talked about, that defensive line for Carolina is so good.
Yeah.
They should have a field day stopping the run. And Eastern Illinois passing-wise wasn't great, so they're really a run-first offense. So it should, 45-7, I'm thinking, something like that. If the offense can get going, maybe at the late worst, 35-7, something like that. If the offense is just struggling. You do have Kevin Harris in the backfield.
Yeah.
Who's probably one of the best run backs in the entire SEC, which is
right.
Something. He had the most yards last year. So
yeah. Before we talk about running backs, the quarterback for Eastern Illinois, Coons, he threw 2 picks, one of those being a pick 6. So that ended up costing them the game pretty much because they lost by 5?
Yep.
And so, that I think they are going to be like a more of a run first kind, but it looks like he might try to fire the ball in there, but maybe he'll be a little gun shy for throwing them 2 picks. Now they gave up a lot of rushing yards. It looks like Indiana State didn't pass but like 87 yards. And they come out, they have like 5 or 6 guys that ran the football. So that spells well for South Carolina with the likes of Kevin Harris coming off his SEC leading year in yards. And also, finally, we get to see the debut of freshman, highly touted recruit, Marshawn Lloyd, who last year had a season-ending injury before the season started, so we never got to see him. And I mean, if he comes out and he can be every bit as good as he's billed, the duo of him and Kevin Harris is going to be something lethal. And I don't care who you are and what you think about South Carolina. Like, South Carolina can suck, but those 2 guys are going to be amazing as long as Marshawn Lloyd comes out here and he can, play like he's billed to. Because Kevin Harris is amazing. I think Kevin Harris is going to have a fantastic season.
Yeah, and looking at this EIU box score, they take a lot of time to score when they did for the most part. They had one drive lasted 6 minutes. They had another drive the last only 2 minutes and 87 yards. They got a big play on that one, but they had a drive at the end that lasted it was 19 plays, lasted 10 minutes and 20 seconds in the fourth quarter. So that's an offense that doesn't take a while to get going, and if South Carolina can just knock them off the field, they should have no problem. And it'll be interesting to see. I think, again, this South Carolina team, it's a great game for Shane Beamer, like I said, to kind of see what you have before you have to head to such a tough environment at ECU next week. And see what you've got with your team. And, there's no pressure on Shane Beamer at all. It's just be better than Will Muschamp.
Right.
just be
at this point shouldn't be too hard.
Yeah.
As long as he, keeps his recruiting up and keeps the hype up for the future. But one thing I am really excited about this week too is I'm excited to see exactly what we're going to do at the wide receiver spot, because we've got Jalen Brooks, who was a transfer from Wingate. And he last year had a lot of hype, but obviously we went 2-8. We were bad. So, I mean, it's hard to see necessarily all the good in him, but he's coming in senior season. So he'll be one of the receivers. And also De'Kerion Joyner, who, was a phenom quarterback in high school at Fort Dorchester in South Carolina. Only lost 3 games, only lost 3 games as a starter. All 3 games were to Dutch Fork, who is, if you're from South Carolina, you know exactly who that is. A powerhouse. So a fantastic quarterback got up here, did play quarterback. He was the guy who led
against Georgia.
Carolina against Georgia when we beat him in Sanford Stadium a couple years ago.
Ran 18 straight rushing plays, but they won it.
Right. I mean, but he's been fully transformed into a wide receiver, played, sparingly last year at the position. But I mean, now he's with Shi Smith gone, like he's going to be getting a lot of playing time, and I'm excited to see what he can do as well.
I was excited to see Nick Muse too. I think he could have a breakout year after last year, kind of being up and down. I think he's one of the better tight ends in the SEC, so that's always a good option to dump off too.
Another receiver, Ortre Smith, had flashes when he was a freshman, but he has been so injury riddled that he is hard to see in the field. Hopefully he can have a full season, no injuries, anything like that, and have Ortre Smith come out here. I'll be excited to watch him play as well.
Absolutely. Excited for the first title, let's call, of the year as well. just to hear. Gosh,
just to hear him, man. God bless.
Touchdown,
Carolina! Touchdown, Kevin Harris!
Your impression's so good, man.
Thanks. Are you kidding me? I freaking hate Todd Ellis. Oh gosh, but I love Suggs. His color guy is amazing. Like the Missouri call. Like I watched this game again the other day. The Missouri game from 2013, where South Carolina comes all the way back and beats them on the road. And Missouri's ranked number 5 when they miss field goal. He misses the field goal, and Suggs just completely oversteps Todd Ellis like it ain't nothing. He's just like, he missed it. And I'm just like, Suggs, what are you doing, bro? And freaking Todd Ellis loses his mind. The Gamecocks get the win on the road. They still won in Columbia.
Like, if you ever just kind of browse through radios, South Carolina radio is up there as one of the most entertaining, if nothing else.
If anything, go right now, stop the video, come back to it, watch Todd Ellis's call when DJ Swearinger commits 2 flags in a row against Arkansas and then picks off the quarterback, takes it to the house for 6, throws the ball in the stands. And Suggs is like, oh, he's probably going to get another 15-yard penalty. And Todd Ellis says, who cares? Who cares? That is awesome. And I actually like that a lot. Swearinger was just built different, though.
Absolutely. So we'll move on from one team, South Carolina, to the other team. On the upstate, Clemson goes to Charlotte for the College Game Day game. Huge game against Georgia in the Dukes Mayo Kickoff Classic. And I was watching the ACC football road trip the other night, and they were at Clemson. And, I keep forgetting they have changed the offense once again here. And that's what they've done with their quarterbacks, it looks like. They changed it first with Taj Boyd. With Jeff Scott got in, it was more of a read option. They kept it kind of like that with Deshaun Watson, but they made it more of quick passes and, a lot of those jet sweep passes. And then they changed it again for Trevor Lawrence and Kelly Bryant. Kelly Bryant was more of a run offense after he left. Trevor Lawrence was kind of a gunslinger. They let him throw it deep. Now, DJ Uyunglele, they're going to let him throw it deep too, but he's going to run. And there was an article, once again, by Spencer Hall that said Clemson did the most upstate South Carolina thing you could do. They took one giant truck and upgraded to another giant truck at quarterback because DJ's huge.
Yeah, he is
6'4", 240 pounds, Cam Newton-esque, and he can run it. And you saw that flashes last year.
Yeah,
it's gonna be interesting to see. But man, the biggest game changer for him is that Justin Ross is back.
Yes, it is,
because Justin Ross had to miss last year because he had to have surgery on his neck. Hopefully, he can stay healthy for the entire year. But man, he had 800 receiving yards his freshman year, 1,000 his sophomore year. Was the game changer for a lot of those Clemson teams. And now with him and all the other receivers Clemson has, it's going to be great. The big question, of course, for Clemson is going to be running back.
Yeah.
Travis Etienne was so explosive. It's hard to beat that. And in games last year where Clemson could not run the ball, that's the games they struggled in or the games they lost.
Yep.
Because against Notre Dame the first time, they lost because Etienne struggled. Against Ohio State, they lost because Etienne struggled. And against Boston College stayed in it because they couldn't get Etienne going.
Right.
So it's going to be interesting. Like, still have Lynn J. Dixon, who has shown explosiveness, not the same as Travis Etienne, but they're real high on this Will Shipley kid. He's from Weddington High School in North Carolina. They say he's impressed a lot. They say he could be like a Travis Etienne in the future with just his shiftiness, but he's also got some power. So I'll be interested to see if he gets in early. And then defensively, you return to all 10 starters. The one you have is going to be on the other sideline. But James Skalski, he's been there for 6 years, which is wild. He is an old man.
Yeah.
But he is the quarterback of that defense. And when he left against Ohio State, you saw them look kind of lost.
Yeah.
Looking against Justin Fields. And so got to keep him in. And he will. And I think this defense is great, but this is a very good Georgia team with JT Daniels now. Once he got cleared last year, that was a whole completely different team.
Yeah.
Because Georgia's offense looked so bad before he came in. Because I think they struggled against Alabama, and then they played Kentucky, and they could not move the ball.
Yeah.
And it was raining, and I get that and all that stuff, but Kentucky's defense has never been great. And they put him in the next week against Vanderbilt. Again, it's Vanderbilt. I get it. but he just had a heck of a game, and he is one of the best quarterbacks. That's why I put him up last week as one of my Heisman favorites. So it'll be interesting. Georgia's defense is always good, I feel like. But again, we talked about too, you get Georgia early in the year, and they have some suspensions. I haven't heard of any this year.
Yeah,
so.
I haven't either, surprisingly.
Which is very surprising. Maybe they just they've stayed in Athens and just haven't done anything with COVID and stuff. But
right.
This is going to be a high-scoring game, I think, because it's week 1. Defense is still going to try to figure stuff out. Both quarterbacks are great. Like I said, it's going to come down to whoever has the last possession, I think.
Yeah.
Georgia always has a pretty good kicker, too. Clemson has BT Potter, who has been up and down, but was more consistent last year.
How many years has he been there?
I think this is finally his senior year. I think this is his 4th year, but he's been there a while.
It seems like it's been forever.
Mm-hmm. So if it comes down to a field goal, I give the edge slightly to Georgia because just the history. But BT Potter has been consistent as of late.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun game. It's going to be a wild game. That's at 7:30 on ABC. Also, College Game Day will be in Charlotte at 9 a.m. on ESPN on Saturday. So, yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be interesting to see just exactly what this new offense looks like for Clemson and just if the defense can handle this explosive Georgia offense.
Yeah. I'm really excited to watch Darion Kendrick play for Georgia, specifically in this game, just given the fact that he was a Clemson Tiger for the past couple of years. And given the fact that, you know, he had his moments as a Clemson Tiger, he had his share of boneheaded plays and mistakes, but he's a freak athlete. Obviously, he's from a high school that we know very well in South Point High School in South Carolina that has produced talent among talent among talent. Mm-hmm. But I think it's going to be very interesting. I'm interested to see who gets the upper hand. I'm interested to see if Justin Ross is going to torch him, which is probably going to happen once or twice, or maybe Darion Kendrick picks off DJ once, twice. I'm excited to see it. I'm ready to watch that battle, see the tempers fly, and see some edge.
Yeah, it's going to be a wild one. Clemson and Georgia usually have pretty good matchups in the past. Of course, they had that classic in 2013 in Clemson. Where Taj Boyd was quarterback. They had one in 2014. Wasn't as great, but that was Cole Stout was the quarterback for that one for Clemson.
Yeah.
So Clemson was still figuring quarterback stuff out at that point before Deshaun Watson came in and took over and changed that program. So interesting to see. The one thing I hate about this is that neutral site. And, like, neutral site games have their moments. I get it. I like them. But, like, man, it's just something different about it being at Georgia or at Clemson. Be a lot cooler, but
well, I mean, it's in Charlotte, right?
Yeah,
it's basically a home game for Clemson because they play there every year.
Exactly.
It's not like Clemson's not it's unfamiliar with the stadium. It's not like it's not like they're not going to play week 1 here and they're also going to play again later in the year when they make it to the ACC title game.
It's weird too that, like, Clemson and Georgia are not that far away from each other. They're maybe an hour away from each other.
Yeah, it's really not far.
And they're moving them further east.
Yeah.
That's kind of a weird situation. I mean, I would have put them in Atlanta, but there's another game in Atlanta that we'll talk about later, which could be interesting. But this one,
I mean, if you wanted to, like, split the difference, we could just play at, like, Elberton High School or something in Georgia.
We got to play on Lake Hartwell. The winner gets Lake Hartwell.
Just have ESPN go all out, make a floating field out there. That'd be beautiful.
You fall in the lake, you can't come in for another 5 minutes. You see Darion Kendrick just pushing Justin Ross as hard as he can. So fun game up in Charlotte. Tickets were insanely priced, man. I was wanting to go, but not for those prices.
I'm sure.
A lot more fun to watch from home, but yeah, it's gonna be a crazy game. Gonna be a fun game, and I don't know if it affects the playoff too much because I think Georgia can still get in if they win out. Clemson definitely could still get in if they went out.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'll be a fun game. It'll be a very fun game with a lot of future NFL talent in there.
I got a random question. I had the Clemson roster pulled up.
Yeah.
Is Palmachon, did he not transfer?
No, he got hurt.
What quarterback transferred from Clemson? There was one, right?
Yeah, there was.
I thought it was him, but he's listed on here. So I guess I was wrong.
Was hurt, and he's actually going to be available, which is surprising.
Yeah.
Because he got hurt pretty bad. Yeah, I know who you're talking about, but I cannot remember it. Because it's Uyangale, Palmachong, and then
Hunter
Helms, who had one of the greatest passes of all time against Ajo, and it didn't count against Georgia Tech, but then he came back for another one to him, which was fantastic.
Yeah. Shout out Greg Collegiate in West Columbia.
Yeah. Will Taylor, the baseball player. That's who it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, he got drafted. So.
He's still listed on here as well. But
yeah, he's still listed on there. Yeah, I'm surprised they haven't taken him off. But yeah, he was the guy. I believe he's the one that got drafted to the Pirates, I think. And then he played baseball at Dutch Fork too, and they were thinking about. And it was Bubba Chandler. Will Taylor stayed. Bubba Chandler got drafted by the Pirates.
Gotcha.
Yeah, they had two quarterbacks that got drafted, but Will Taylor stayed. So yeah, interesting situation. We can talk Clemson baseball and how much they frustrate me on a later time. So yeah, college football continues week 1. It starts on Thursday, and really the biggest game on Thursday. You got some pretty big games. I mean, you have Temple and Rutgers is a game that's happening.
It's something.
Yeah. You have ECU and App State in the first game of the Dukes Mayo kickoff. I think that's gonna be a pretty fun one. Interesting to see what ECU does.
Yeah,
it's a pretty good App State team, but
yeah, that'll be good for Carolina as well, considering they're going to ECU in week 2.
Yep, but big game I think is going to be this one in the Big Ten. Ohio State goes to Minneapolis to take on the Minnesota Golden Gophers. Ohio State's got a brand new quarterback, C.J. Stroud. He played some last year, had a rushing touchdown against Michigan State, but you really don't know a whole lot about him. But they're saying he's already got Heisman odds.
Yeah,
and, I mean, Ohio State's going to roll out some good quarterback.
Yeah, they're just going to reload that position every year, no doubt.
Exactly. But this is a Minnesota team under PJ Fleck, that's been pretty good. Yeah, they still have Tanner Morgan. He's been there for forever as a great quarterback. You still have a good wide receiver core, but your defense I think they lost a lot on defense. And it's kind of like when you go up against Ohio State, who runs a no huddle, runs up tempo, which is way different than any Big Ten team.
Yeah.
You got to be ready for that. And then Ohio State's also going to run out a very good defense as well. So this will be an interesting game. Glad to see the Golden Gophers get some love on national TV as well. That'll be on Fox on Thursday.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, but I think Ohio State, should handle business in this one. This one might be, close going to the third and the fourth, and then Ohio State pulls away.
Yeah.
But, I'm excited to see C.J. Stroud. Ohio State, again, I'm not an Ohio State fan, but I always have a quarterback that I like for some reason every year. I just like watching them play, and I think C.J. Stroud is probably going to be the next one for them.
Oh, yeah. I think Ohio State, I'm interested to watch him as well as you. But I'm ready to watch Master Teague get back out there and run the football. And then the wide receiver, Chris, is it Olave?
Olave, yeah.
Olave, that's what I thought. Yeah. Chris Olave, him back out there with Master Teague. And then if CJ Stroud could be as good as he's built, I mean, that's a new big three, and they're going to cause or wreak a lot of havoc in the Big Ten for sure.
And they still got a good secondary there. Demario McCall was very good against Clemson. So was Cameron Kittle, who's only a sophomore. So this is still a very good Ohio State team that's probably going to win the Big Ten again.
Yeah.
Seeing if nothing happens to them. Unless maybe Indiana could sneak up home field.
Maybe.
I'll gladly plug the Hoosiers. But then you get to Friday. There's some pretty good games on here. The interesting one to me, Duke is going to Charlotte to play.
Yeah.
That's an interesting one to see. Well, that'll probably be the most packed game for Charlotte's history. I think that's the first time they've ever hosted a Power 5 team at home. So
yeah. I got a guy down here. He's from technically he is from it's from McCormick County. And his sons, he's got two sons. One son is Mateo Durant, who is the running back for Duke. And they're from little old McCormick, South Carolina. And he has another son who is currently, I think, a sophomore or a junior at McCormick. And that kid is unreal. But that's another story. But he came into Enterprise the other day. He's actually renting a car to go up to go to the game. And he told me, I knew who he was, and I know his son played at Duke, and I was like, oh, where's the game? Are you going up to Durham? And he was like, no, we're going to Charlotte. And I was like, oh my God, y'all are playing at Charlotte. It was so crazy to me. But I mean, Duke is what it is. Duke's only a 6.5 point favorite for Charlotte.
Charlotte is not a horrible team. Last year was weird to look at them because I think they played like one game and then they didn't play again for like a month because of COVID.
Mm-hmm.
So they had a weird season last year. By the way, Gardner Webb, my alma mater, will go up to Charlotte the next week on September 11th. So that'll be kind of a game to watch on my end.
I think I'm actually going to that game. I don't know if I told you that.
I think you did. Yeah. That's nice. I think I got work that day. I would go to that one. But yeah, it'll be an interesting game, I think, just to see what Duke has and what the Niners can do. Also have Michigan State and Northwestern. That game will be 9-6.
Yep.
That's about all I can tell you about that game. Unless disappointed, it's at 9 p.m. and not 9 a.m.
Yeah,
that's wow.
It's not on par for the Big Ten. They're trying to be late night Pac-12, and they can't take that away from us. It's not going to be the same.
No. But big game on Friday. It's at a weird time, 6 o'clock, but it's going to be a good one. North Carolina and Virginia Tech. We talked about Sam Howell last week. This could be his year. This is a good North Carolina team. A lot of people, including me, doubted when they hired back Mac Brown. I was like, this is just, to get people to come to the games because nobody shows up to their games and they're not going to matter and all this stuff. They'll just go 6-6 again. But then Sam Howell came through and he has developed into one of the best quarterbacks in the nation. You have a great wide receiving core, Bo Corrals, as your lead wide receiver for the Tar Heels. It's a great offense, and they will go score in bunches on you if you're not ready.
Yeah, I am so excited to watch this game, just because I talked about Sam Howell a lot last week. I'm so ready to watch them play. They got that preseason number 10 ranking, see if they can hold that up. And this is also a big opportunity for Virginia Tech as well. Taking down North Carolina would be huge for them.
Yeah.
But I think Justin Fuente is definitely another coach that he's got to perform. He's got to do something, and this will be a heck of a start to get him off to get him off on the right foot for the season. It is a tough test though against North Carolina team, who I think is going to be really good. But I am very excited to watch this game.
And last year, Virginia Tech had their chances to make some noise in the ACC and nationally, but they lost to Liberty, who was ranked. They had a blocked field goal, and Justin Fuente called a timeout because he didn't think he had the right personnel on. They did. And Liberty gets another chance and wins the game on a field goal. They lose to Miami by 1 point. It was ranked number 9. And they lost to Clemson 45-10 was the final. That game was 17-10 at halftime.
Yeah.
In Blacksburg, but they had an injury to the quarterback, and just everything went downhill from there for the Hokies. The spread's only 5.5. So it's going to be, I think, a close game. It's the first game of the year, too.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I think Fuente is – that seat's warming up in Blacksburg. And I get it. You're going from Frank Beamer to a new coach.
All right.
But, I mean, Braxton Burmeister last year and the times he played looked really good as a quarterback. And I think, if he gets an actual season, he can develop into something pretty well.
Yeah.
Good. So, yeah, that's going to be a good one. There's 5 days of ACC football, by the way, this weekend, which is fantastic as an ACC fan.
Wow.
Because you never know what you're going to get in the ACC sometimes. There's one game that's going to be just amazing that we'll talk about. But you get the Saturday. Your noon slate has changed a bit. Oklahoma and Tulane were supposed to play in New Orleans. Of course, Hurricane Ida comes through. And Tulane's not going back to school, I think, until October now is what they've said. So luckily, I think they don't start till after Labor Day, though. So luckily, the only people on campus were athletes, I believe, which is good.
Yeah.
But yeah, Tulane's going to be on the road with a home game, quote unquote, against Oklahoma, which is nice for Oklahoma to do that. But that stinks for them because that was going to be a big time game for Tulane.
Yeah, it was.
Get all those people into that new stadium they have, and they're on ABC would be on national TV. But glad to see him play. Of course, I want to see Spencer Rattler play again. Get to see what he can do against the Tulane team. And I don't think Tulane's going to upset them, but Tulane's always a fun team to watch. So
yeah, for sure. They had some very good games last year.
Yeah. Also at your noon slate, you get UConn on national TV again.
Oh man, we
against
talked
Holy
about
Cross.
last week, man. I mean, they got a slate. CBS Sports Network is milking that UConn contract.
Yeah. You get to see Nebraska again against Fordham. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, your noon slate's not a whole lot, but this one's going to be fun. I think Penn State and Wisconsin playing at noon. That's the big noon Saturday game. Gus Johnson will be on the call for that one on Fox.
What a man.
That's just going to be two, big meaty men bumping meat. Two hard-nosed teams running right into each other. Big Ten football. The score is going to be like 15-10. The over-under is only 50. That tells you how this game is going to be played.
Yeah.
Penn State, I don't know how they're ranked because they're coming off the worst season ever. And Penn State's been playing football for a long time. But they got better as the year got along, I will admit. Sean Clifford, I think, can be a good quarterback. Noah Cain's a good running back for them. But they just got to have some dogs on defense. I don't think they do. And that's been their problem, I think, because usually you think about there's all the great DBs and great linebackers that have come from Penn State, and I can't look at this roster. It's really not a whole lot of names I can sit there and I recognize.
Yeah.
So,
but yeah, I think that game's going to be really good as well. Camp Randall's going to be nuts.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be so good getting up for that 12:00 game. Weather looks like it should be pretty good. So, should be a very good game. I'm interested to watch Wisconsin. Wisconsin's always got a fantastic offensive line, probably got a good running back, some good skill players. And then they just strut out pretty much whoever they want at quarterback, and he just kind of flies under the radar, but he's usually pretty good.
Yeah, they still have Graham Mertz. He's only a sophomore, and he's done very good. Also, their backup quarterback is Danny Vandenboom.
Love it.
He's also 6'5", which is awesome. They have a transfer from Clemson, Ches Malusi at running back, and Malusi got in some last year and did pretty well. So hopefully you see him. But they also have Isaac Garendo or Garendo. I'm not sure how you pronounce that, but he was pretty good last year. So yeah, this is your stereotypical Wisconsin team that's going to pound the ball at you and then they'll throw it over the top when you're not looking. So
yeah.
This will be a fun one. This will be probably, again, low score in week one, also Big Ten, but it's going to be a good one to watch on the noon slate. Wisconsin's favored by 5.5 in that one, so should be a close one. Computer is not wanting to work for me.
Good.
Yeah.
But as far as the rest of Saturday goes, 2:00, you got Fresno State at Oregon, and that Jake Haener, the quarterback for Fresno State, played very well last week, throwing for 331 yards and 3 touchdowns. We'll see how he can do against Oregon, coming in with their number 11 national ranking. And Oregon has a guy that is the defensive end, and I can't think of his name. I'm looking at it right now. Kayvon Thibodeau.
Mm-hmm.
This kid is going to be unreal. They're talking about him possibly getting in there for Heisman stuff. Like if he, could get in there have some kind of unreal season, like 18.5 or 19 sacks, and Oregon, have the good record, win the Pac-12 and all that. Only a sophomore. This kid's unreal. So be on the watch out for him, and he'll probably be getting to Jake Haener pretty often.
Yeah. I feel like the past few years, Oregon's had, of course, they had Marcus Mariota, they had Justin Herbert. I feel like their defense has stepped up the past few years because, normally you used to hear about their great offense. Now you just hear about their defense. So, they've done a great job past few years getting a defense built up, and interesting to see that. Move up to 3:30. I got to mention at noon, you have Army and Georgia State. Now, the reason I mentioned that is that's the first of a triple header in downtown Atlanta. It goes from the south side of town to the north side of town. You start at noon. You can go to Georgia State and Army over at Center Park Stadium, Old Turner Field.
Yeah.
And then at 3:30, you can go to Mercedes-Benz Stadium to see Miami and Alabama play.
Oh, what a game that's going to be.
And that's going to be – I think it's going to be an interesting game. Bryce Young was just officially named the starter and quarterback for Alabama. And if it's an Alabama quarterback, they're going to be good.
Yeah.
I mean, they're there for a reason. De'Aaron King is hopefully back and healthy. this year, and when he's on, he is on. We talked about him last week and how we'd love to see him be back in his form. I just want to say there's a backup quarterback for Alabama named Stone Hollenbach. How is he not the starter?
Start him immediately.
Yes, he's also from Catawissa, Pennsylvania. What are you doing, Saban? Like, gosh, let us do your job because you don't know how to do it, apparently. Ignore all the rings and one. No, this is an Alabama team that just they like Clemson. They reload. They're going to have some freak of an athlete at wide receiver that's going to just destroy everything. They still have Trayshawn Holden, who did very well last year. They still have Chris Herron, who's a solid wide receiver that they'll throw to. They still have John Mechie.
Yeah.
Out there. And then defensively, they're just going to make you hate life. They have Justin Boygay is still out there. Hold on. Phaedrian Mathis, I believe that's how you say his name. On defensive line. This team is just going to go out there. Kyle Flood's still there. They're just going to go out there and just make you hate life for a while.
Yeah.
And they also got the transfer from Tennessee. I don't know if you remember Henry 2020.
Oh, yeah.
He transferred, and he was the best player on the Tennessee defense, transferred to Alabama. So there's another player they just added to their arsenal.
Right.
Along with Jordan Battle on defense. So, yeah, this is going to be a team this is going to be a game. You're going to learn who a lot of guys are. I think Miami can keep it close.
Yeah.
They can keep it close. Alabama's picked the win by 18.5. Miami, I think, can cover that if the Eric King is on and stays healthy.
Yeah, I mean, I could see like a 31-17, something like that.
Yeah, because I mean, Alabama struggled in those early games. You remember a few years ago in the same Chick-fil-A kickoff, Duke was only down a little bit at halftime to Alabama, and Alabama ended up pulling away, of course. But Duke stayed in it for a half, which is longer than I think a lot of people had Duke staying in it, and they didn't have the talent that Miami has this year.
Yeah.
So I mean, Miami, if they're on, they're on. I mean,
you look at that as well, but you looking at like, good grief, what just happened to me? I couldn't talk. Looking at it like that, also look at Alabama from a couple years ago when they played Florida State, and obviously DeAndre Francois got hurt, but Alabama dominated from the get-go. So I don't know. I would really like to sit here and say that Miami's going to put up a good fight because I would like to see him put up a good fight. Heck, I might even like to see him take him down. That'd be crazy. What a way to start the season. But I think that 18.5 is right about it. I could see Miami covering it though with some late BS or something.
Yeah. Also at 3:30, this one just to watch. Cincinnati takes on Miami of Ohio. That's a rivalry game. Cincinnati should win that one easy.
Yeah.
A lot of people are high on the Bearcats. They're ranked number 8 in the country to start.
Yeah.
And they have a very tough schedule to start the year. They have Miami, Ohio, then Murray State. Then they have to go to a ranked Indiana team and then go to a ranked Notre Dame team.
Mm-hmm.
Then after that, it's all conference games, and the Americans kind of up and down. It'll depend.
I mean, but we're going to learn a lot about them. And if they really want to make it, if they really want to have a case that they're going to make it to the playoff, there it is. I mean, you got 4 games, right? Well, a couple games in there that are really tough. And like when they come down to it at the end of the year, if Cincinnati's undefeated, like the committee and everybody can look at that and be like, well, yeah, they went to Indiana. They took down the Hoosiers. They went to Notre Dame. They took down the Fighting Irish and all that kind of stuff. Like that's the kind of games that a team like that is going to need. Mm-hmm. So you're not just going to get the benefit of the doubt, like somebody like let's just say Clemson. Like obviously Clemson's playing Georgia, and then Clemson beats Georgia, Clemson loses to Georgia, but then wins the rest of their games. Like Clemson's probably going to get in just because they are that good, and you don't have to question them anymore. You can automatically throw Clemson in there, but somebody like Cincinnati, I mean, you lose one game and you're like, oh yeah, you're not getting in, bro. Doesn't matter who it is.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, we're going to learn a lot about the Cincinnati team early. A lot of people are high on them, so it'll be interesting to see if they can go up to those expectations. Also at 3:30, you got another big game. Indiana and Iowa, 2 ranked teams that
home field. Indiana, go Hoosiers.
Meet me at Kinnick Stadium, and Indiana, man, just the turnaround Tom Allen's had with that team has been phenomenal. And they really could have been a whole lot better last year if quarterback wouldn't have got hurt.
Yeah.
And, they had, of course, the reach, what was known, against Penn State at the start of the season, but Michael Penix unfortunately gets hurt. But he's coming back. They still got a good team. And he's got a lot of people around him to throw it off to. Ty Freifogel also comes back. Jacoby Hewitt, who was great last year.
Yeah.
So they're going to have a great offense that can score some points. And then, of course, you got Iowa on the other side, the most consistent team, at least in America.
Yeah.
Like they'll win at least 9 games.
Are they still coached by Kirk Ferentz?
Yep.
Okay.
Kirk Ferentz.
I just wanted to make sure. He's been there for years, obviously, so don't know when he's going to be getting out of there. But for some reason, I've always liked Kirk Ferentz, and a Kirk Ferentz led team, I just don't ever think is going to lose. I don't really think I look at any Iowa game and I'm just like, yeah, they're going to lose.
Yeah.
I legit think they always have a shot, and I don't know why that is.
I mean, last year, this Iowa team wasn't great last year, but they ended up strong. They won their last 5 games of the year. They beat Minnesota 35-7, beat Penn State, beat Nebraska, beat Illinois, and beat Wisconsin. They didn't go to a bowl game because of COVID, but yeah, they finished off strong after starting off pretty rough. So again, and they had a couple of games away. Like their 2 losses were 24-20 to Purdue and 21-20 to Northwestern. So
yeah,
2 close games that they could have had where they could have been undefeated. And I don't know if they would have probably gotten to the Big Ten championship game and would have played Ohio State. I don't know if they would have won, but I think they would have looked pretty good. So it's going to be that's going to be a very fun one. It's on the Big Ten network, which is kind of disappointing, but that's a big game for them to have.
Yeah, for sure. That network never really took off like the ACC network or the SEC network did it. But it was the first one, so give them credit.
Yeah.
But I mean, the first game they ever broadcast was App State and Michigan, which is so fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Also at 3:30, you have Maryland, West Virginia. That's just a classic rivalry game. I think Maryland's busting out the throwbacks for that one, which they should make permanent.
It's gonna be beautiful.
So that's gonna be nice. 4:00, Mississippi State and Louisiana Tech. Mississippi State has struggled against some of these Sun Belt and Conference USA teams early. They lost to South Alabama a few years ago. So
yeah, will we get a repeat of a couple years ago when La Tech had a 3rd or 4th down in 87?
Yeah,
or something like that. 3rd or 4th down.
Yeah.
Well, please, that's all I'm asking. I just want one more of those. This time, maybe flip the script. Maybe have Mississippi State go back 80 yards.
Here's another game. I don't know why it's on TV because it's going to be ugly. Pitt and UMass. Pitt's going to win this game by 40, but good Lord, it's going to be the ugliest 40-point win you're going to see in your life.
Yeah, it's not going to be good.
Yeah, Kenny Pickett's going to throw the ball around, and they're just going to drag them down, and you're going to hate watching this. If you're a Pitt fan or a UMass fan, just, tune into the ACC network, I guess, if you want.
Yeah, sure.
Let's see. This one, Iowa State plays Northern Iowa. Iowa State got a lot of high expectations on them this year to do something, maybe to win the Big 12 even. We'll have to see. Yeah. Northern Iowa's upset some of these Big 12 teams before.
Yeah, Northern Iowa's just like North Dakota State. I mean, it's a team that has history of beating FBS teams. I mean, you never know.
Yeah, so another game I want to look at, 4:30 on Fox, Texas and Louisiana. Louisiana comes in ranked.
I didn't even know that this was a game, and let alone a ranked game. I love it.
Yeah, Louisiana was very good. Billy Napier, he's been a guy that's like everybody wants to get, but he wants to take his time and build Louisiana into a contender, and he really has done that. It started last year. They beat Iowa State to start off the year last year, 31-14.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately for them, they were the reason that Coastal Carolina got back to the picture because they lost to Coastal 30-27.
Yeah.
But that was their only loss. They rolled over everybody. They beat App State 24-21. They were in the Sun Belt Championship game, but that game was canceled because of COVID issues with the Raging Cajuns. But they ended up winning their bowl game over UTSA. So they went 10-1 last year. And again, you can say only went last year, but they go on the road to Iowa State and beat them. They go on the road to Georgia State and beat them. And they almost beat a good Coastal Carolina team. So, yeah, this is a team that I think Louisiana could slip them up. Texas, everybody keeps saying they're going to be back. I'm waiting for a
Saying
win.
that for years. Yeah, me too. Good grief. I'm sick of hearing it. Screw Texas.
Texas is only picked to win this game by 8, by the way. So this could be a close
I
one.
think it's going to be a dogfight, man. I would love nothing more than for Louisiana to go to Memorial Stadium and knock them off.
That would be a huge win for the Raging Cajuns and Billy Napier. And then Louisiana, you got to talk about them a little bit after that, because after that schedule, their toughest game is App State at home and Georgia State at home, and they got to go to Liberty. Other than that, they avoid Coastal to the championship game.
Right.
So if they can knock off Texas, I think you got to talk about them a little bit.
Yeah.
And making a run at least toward the New Year's Six. 5 o'clock, hey, you can see Nick Starkle take on USC. Well, you can't see him because it's on Pac-12 Network and no one knows how to get that channel.
Right.
But, that could be an interesting matchup, I think. USC against Clay Helton is on the hot seat, maybe. I don't know what he looks like, but
he's been on the hot seat for 5 years now.
Yeah.
Seems like.
And he just keeps fine doing the bare minimum and escaping. And,
right.
I can appreciate that, but
yeah, I mean, it's a fine art form that it takes a lot of skill to master, but he's done it.
Yeah. Gardner Webb will go to Georgia Southern. I'm going to call it the first official game of the Trey Lamb era. They played 4 games last spring, but whatever. It'll be interesting to see against Georgia Southern, who has a former Gardner Webb player and longtime coach Travis Cunningham as their defensive coordinator. So interesting to see the Eagles and the Running Bulldogs. That's the one that I'm going to be paying attention to. Syracuse is going to Ohio at 7 o'clock. Syracuse always does this. They always go to a MAC team for some reason.
Yeah.
And they usually beat them, except I think one year when Western Michigan was really good, I think they beat Syracuse that year.
Yeah. Syracuse is a 1.5 point favorite on the road. I'm going Ohio. Bold prediction there. Yeah. Ohio dub.
This is going to be a shootout. Texas Tech and Houston at NRG Stadium.
Yep.
There's going to be no defense in that one because neither team knows how to play. Yeah, the over-under is 65.
Yeah.
Texas Tech is favored to win by 1.5. That's going to be a wild football game.
Dana Holgorsen, hot seat. I mean, he's got to come out here and beat Texas Tech. He's got to on a national stage. He's got to do it.
Absolutely. Continuing to roll down the list, Baylor's going to Texas State. That's an interesting one. See the Bears go to San Marcos, and I get Baylor's not where they used to be with RG3 and all that, but
right,
it's still a weird game to see.
Yes, it is.
7:30 Florida takes on Florida Atlantic. I think Florida should handle business there, but you don't know with the Owls. The Owls are usually a pretty decent team. This is a game I'm going to be at, Northern Illinois and Georgia Tech at 7:30. I'm going to be at there doing some coverage for the Huskies. Huskies did not have a good spring. A good season last year. They played in the fall. They went 0-6. Georgia Tech, Jeff Sims, he is such a raw quarterback, but I think he's going to be a good one. He's going to be the next good ACC quarterback, I think. If he can just finally gets a full year to develop, I think he's going to make some things happen. And we continue to roll. And, this is one we can talk about. UCLA and LSU. LSU comes in. They did not have a good year last year to follow up the national championship. And they looked pretty rough. They lost a lot of people on that team. UCLA, I mean, Dwayne Thompson-Robinson did not look accurate against Hawaii. But again, when Zach Charbonnet runs for 106 yards on 103 yards on 6 carries and 3 touchdowns, you don't need to throw it.
Right.
So it'll be interesting to see how the Bruins can hold up against. Again, this is a better team than Hawaii, of course, and LSU. And LSU still got some people on that team that are going to be good. They still are going to have a good defense, I think. I think last year was just kind of a fluke with people that hurt. Interesting to see who they put out quarterback. Will it be Max Johnson or will it be Miles Brennan?
Right.
That'll be interesting to see about that. But we'll have to see, if Tigers can recover from just a bad year last year. And even though, again, thanks to them, we got the Florida throwing the shoe.
Yeah.
Thanks to them. I feel like when Florida and LSU play, something stupid always happens. But
right.
Yeah, no, I think it's going to be fun. This could be a high-scoring game. LSU's favored to win by 3 points, and the over-under is 66. So this could get explosive out in Pasadena. And then late-night games, not a whole lot to talk about. Arizona BYU. Could be fun.
You got a trio of Pac-12 After Darks.
Yeah.
With your Cal hosting Nevada on FS1 at 10:30, BYU and Arizona playing in Vegas at Allegiant Stadium on ESPN at 10:30, and Utah State going to Washington State in Pullman at 11 p.m. So usually, Washington State's usually a pretty fun team to watch, and you kind of never know what's going to happen with them. I don't know much about Cal, but that BYU Arizona game, that one should be pretty fun to watch.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see. Arizona had a rough year last year, but BYU, we want to see what they're going to do without Zach Wilson. They're probably going to have another good quarterback. They usually do.
Yeah.
Out there. And so we move to Sunday. There's some games on Sunday, and it's Notre Dame and Florida State. And again, this is a game that a few years ago would be a lot better, a lot more hyped up for. Now, you probably think Notre Dame's going to win, but Mackenzie Milton's in charge.
Yeah, I'm excited, man. I'm ready to watch it.
This is his debut. Notre Dame's picked the win only by 7.5, and that's a packed Tallahassee is still a tough place to play.
Yeah, I would say I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that Florida State, from the outside, the exterior of Doak Campbell Stadium is the most beautiful stadium in the nation. It's so nice with the bricks and everything. It's such a cool place, and I know it would be really cool. As much as I do not like Florida State, and I know you don't either. But like to have them back, have them rocking, and have that place be as intimidating as it used to be would be pretty cool.
Yeah, and but Notre Dame's still good. Jack Cohn's probably going to be your starting quarterback again, or starting quarterback now this year. I mean, Georgia Tech's going to have, I think, a good offense. Brian Kelly has done a great job of adapting them because you used to think of Notre Dame as kind of like a Big Ten team. They're going to run the ball, pound it.
Yeah,
they were running some no huddle stuff, and it was working effectively against Clemson and against some of these better teams. So being able to do that has changed Notre Dame a lot. And again, everybody's going to talk about Notre Dame now. They're not in the conference again. About their schedule, they know, but they play Wisconsin on a neutral site. They host Cincinnati, but they go to Virginia Tech. They host USC. They host North Carolina. That game's going to be fantastic.
Yeah.
And after that, man, it's not really a very difficult schedule this year. So it'll be interesting to see what the Fighting Irish can do in their big-time games this year, and if we're talking about them late in the year. And then finally, on Labor Day, you get Louisville and Ole Miss. This game's going to prove nothing, but it's going to be fun.
It is going to be fun. The over-under is 75.5.
Yeah, because Ole Miss does not play defense. I don't think Lane Kiffin's goal in life is to not play defense just to make Nick Saban angry.
And I respect that.
Yeah, and I am okay with that. Louisville has Malik Cunningham at quarterback, who is insanely good.
Yes, he is.
He's not quite like, a Lamar Jackson, but he has Lamar Jackson type qualities sometimes.
Yeah.
He's just a big body that can run and can sling it. They also have Shai Werts, I forgot, has transferred to that team from Clinton.
I didn't know that.
He was a big-time player for Georgia Southern. He's playing wide receiver now. And so that'll be interesting to see what he can do in that offense. And, yeah, that's – again, you're going to learn nothing from that game.
Yeah.
But you're going to have a lot of fun if you watch that game, I think.
Yeah, I'm excited to see Ole Miss because they are highly touted this year. They have a lot of hype going into it. We know that the offense is going to be elite. We know that Corral's going to Matt Corral's going to be an extreme stat pattern. Like he's going to put up numbers. And there could be a scenario where, if Ole Miss ends up being really, really good, he could be with the numbers he's going to put up. He could probably be a Heisman. Somebody to talk about maybe at some point in the season for Heisman, but we know their offense is going to be good. If Ole Miss can find any shred of defense, they're going to be a problem. They're going to be a problem.
Matt Corral's stats last year, just 3,337 yards, 29 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. I don't care. Just let the man sling it.
Yeah, the offense is fun, man. Do they still have John Reese Plumlee?
I think he left. I'm not seeing him on the roster, so it looks like John Reese Plumlee is out, which is a shame.
They used to throw him. Yeah, they threw him in all kinds of formations last year. Yeah. Sometimes put him at wide receiver, have him run like a little like a reverse, and then Reese Plumlee would throw the ball. There's a lot of fun going on down there.
What's fun to watch is that against LSU, Matt Corral last year would have a game like he did against Vanderbilt, where he had 412 yards passing and 6 touchdowns. Against South Carolina, 513 yards passing and 4 touchdowns.
Yeah.
And then against LSU, 251 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. I don't care. Keep sending him out there.
Yeah, sling it.
He is literally a gunslinger. Like against Arkansas, he had 200 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 6 picks. Everybody's saying, oh, this guy's horrible. And then 2 weeks later, he has that Vanderbilt game.
Right.
Which is fantastic. So, yeah, he is the definition of a gunslinger. They are just going – Lincoln is just going to tell him to throw the ball up in the air and see what happens.
Yeah. Hey, interceptions build character. Just ask Jameis Winston. After his 30-30 season, he is starting in the NFL again. Exactly. Anything's possible.
Exactly. So that's college football week 1. We'll come back to that next week and kind of give you our analysis on South Carolina and Clemson, and we'll look through week 2 as well. Now we move on to the NFL. Speaking of Jameis Winston, preseason just finished up. And, we'll talk about our teams, the Bills and the Titans. I'll talk about the Bills first. Josh Allen looks good. He played against, and I get the Packers may have rested some of their starters, but, hey, Josh Allen, this is his first action all year so far, and he looked great. He had he had 194 yards passing against Green Bay, and it was so crazy. And Gabe Davis had a heck of a reception for a touchdown. There's a video of the Bills have put up that's gone around social media where it's an 8K, which is beautiful, of that pass, and it's just great camera work. Is all I can say about it. But Josh Allen, 20 of 26, 194 yards and 2 touchdown passes in the game. Rushing wise, the only thing, the Bills didn't rush a whole lot. That's kind of disappointing because they got to get that rushing game. Jake Fromm was the leading rusher. He had a 13-yard touchdown run, and then Zach Moss had 4 carries for 10 yards. So that's still got to figure out what you're going to do there. Cole Beasley was back, and he had 4 receptions, 52 yards. Emmanuel Sanders, who's just joined the team, 4 receptions for 27 yards. Marquez Stevenson unfortunately got hurt, which is disappointing because, like I told you about him, the past few weeks has been so great on special teams. Yeah. He got hurt and may miss the first game, so hopefully he can come back pretty helpfully. But, yeah, 19-0, you shut out a good Green Bay offense. Again, Jordan Love and Ben Kurt were playing quarterback, but you get a pick off of Love, you get 2 sacks, and you hold Kylan Hill to just 37 yards rushing, and A.J. Dillon just 18 yards rushing. That's pretty good for this Bills defense. So, yeah, they look good. Excited. Hopefully, again, Stephon Diggs, hopefully he's going to be able to play week 1. All signs point to that. And, they'll have to come out slinging against a good Steelers team, but I'm excited.
Yeah, I definitely would be.
Yeah, and defensively, looks like Rousseau did not get a sack this week, so it's his sack streak. But, yeah, he's looked great just being a guy plugging holes, and that's really what you needed to kind of take the stress off of Trey White and the rest of that secondary.
Yeah.
Now we'll look over at the Titans. How the Titans look in their final preseason tune-up?
They look all right. This is the first one that I got to watch. The rest of them obviously have not been on TV, but so I got to watch this one. Played the Bears, lost 27-24 against the Justin Fields led Bears. Well, Justin Fields for a little bit. Nick Foles, gosh, amid all the talk of Justin Fields and Andy Dalton getting the starting job, they strutted out Nick Foles the other night. And I said, wait a minute. I didn't even know he was still here. Ain't nobody talked about him.
I know. Yeah. He looked phenomenal. 142 yards and 2 touchdowns and only 3 completions. That's pretty good.
Yeah, he came in and played very well. But for the Titans, this was a big game for Matt Barkley and Logan Woodside. They were the only quarterbacks to play. No Ryan Tannehill. He did get put on COVID list, but he's going to be ready for week 1. So no Tannehill in the preseason, no Derrick Henry, no A.J. Brown, no Julio. Offensive line did get Taylor Lewan, Roger Saffold. They did run a couple drives on Saturday night. And they looked okay. This is Taylor Lewan's first game action since I can't remember exactly what week, but probably week 3, week 4 or 5 last year after he had his injury. But yeah, quarterbacks, Matt Barkley, Logan Woodside. Logan Woodside definitely outplayed Barkley this past Saturday night. So If they're only going to keep one, I really think at this point they're probably going to end up keeping Woodside. He's already been with the team for 3 or 4 years now, so I think it makes more sense to keep him than Barkley, even though Barkley has looked good in the preseason in the other games. But Barkley finished 7 of 15 for 126 yards. It had one interception that was just awful.
Mm-hmm.
I sent you that Snapchat. I don't even know what he was doing. He threw it right to Trevathan from the Bears, and the receiver he was trying to throw to was literally blanketed with 2 Bears, and then threw it right to Trevathan, who was dropping back in covers. I don't know what the heck Matt Barkley was thinking there, but threw a pick. Logan Woodside also threw a pick, which wasn't a great either, but he did throw a touchdown. Woodside finished 12 of 17 for 100 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Another guy that I want to point to for the Titans is Mekhi Sargent, running back. His numbers have been okay in the preseason, and he's definitely played well. He had 17 carries for 51 yards and a touchdown on Saturday night. But this kid runs hard. He's a rookie out of Iowa. And this kid just runs hard. Like, he reminds me like he's got a lot of power in him, a la like Derrick Henry. So somebody who's just he's tough to bring down. And Sargent's obviously not as big as Derrick Henry, but Sargent goes out there and he doesn't give up. And I've been really impressed with him. So if the Titans are going to keep 3 running backs, keep Derrick Henry, keep God bless. Why am I blanking on the name? Kid out of Appalachian State. You called it the night that they drafted him.
Oh my gosh.
He's just been hurt, and he didn't get to play much last year. Anyway, it'll come to me. Sorry, but hey, keep him, and then I would think keep Sargent. I would really like to keep Sargent as a 3rd string back because Darrington Evans is the running back, and Darrington Evans got hurt in an earlier preseason game. So I mean, especially if he's going to be injured again, I would like to keep Sargent and have him there for the 3rd running back, and then defense for the Titans. I had a lot of starters play again. They looked good for the first couple of drives. But I've been really impressed, man. Like I said last week, it is preseason, but I mean, I have been just looking for anything that's going to tell me that this defense is going to be better. And I honestly, coming out of preseason, like, I think we're pretty solid right now. I think we're in good hands, and I'm really loving Elijah Molden, a rookie that we picked up. I think this kid is going to be unreal. I think he's going to be a superstar in the NFL. He's just tenacious. He's been playing wherever Vrabel and company want him to play, and he's come in. He's gotten some sacks off some safety blitzes. He's been good in coverage. I think he's going to be awesome. We also saw the first action from our first-round pick, Caleb Farley, playing very sparingly. I mean, he's coming off of hip surgery, and he hasn't played football in a couple of years because he opted out for Virginia Tech this past year, and then I think he was hurt the year before. But the talent is there. I mean, if he can stay healthy, I think he's going to be an unreal cornerback as well. But the defense as a whole for Tennessee has really impressed me, and I'm feeling good because we play Arizona in week 1 in 2 weeks, and from what I know about Arizona is they have some defense. Obviously, they picked up J.J. Watt, but what worries me is their offense against our defense because they have Kyler Murray, Nuke Hopkins. They got a lot of weapons. So, but I feel better about it. I really think the Titans defense is going to make an improvement, which wouldn't be that hard to make an improvement, but I think they are going to make an improvement.
Yeah, another guy I want to talk about too for the Bears. He's not going to get a whole lot of names, but Jesper Horsted. It's part of that big tight end core they have. He had 5 receptions for 104 yards and 3 touchdowns against the Titans.
He is a Titan killer. I'm pretty sure somebody said that he had multiple touchdowns in a preseason game against the Titans 2 or 3 years ago as well. So maybe it's just Tennessee.
Yeah. He was a guy. He was out of football last year. I think he opted out. He's from Princeton, and this is his 2nd season. And, he's not going to get it because he's behind Jimmy Graham and Cole Kmet. But, hey, maybe you throw him out there sometimes. So, good to see guys like that from small schools get some experience. Speaking of the Bears, we'll stay with this. We're going to talk about some of the starting quarterbacks that have been named for a bunch of teams. And the Bears are going with Andy Dalton. And
no thanks.
Yeah, it's interesting. And I've seen the people argue, well, you got to keep him because of how you got to have the experience. You don't have to have that, I don't think, because Justin Fields, first of all, Justin Fields should never have been on the board at pick 11. I like Zach Wilson. I like Trey Lance a lot. Justin Fields and Trevor Lawrence were both the top 2 quarterbacks in all of college football last year. And the fact that he slipped all the way to the Bears is insane. And,
Agree.
I think Justin Fields, you got to have some life, and Matt Nagy is on the hot seat because Mitchell Trubisky did not work out for them.
Right.
And, Andy Dalton did not look great at times against the Bills. And I don't know. Now, he came in, got booed, and then threw a dime for a touchdown pass. Now, granted, it was 28-0 by that point, but still, I think, I don't know why you don't go Justin Fields because he's going to make those rookie mistakes, and he's a running quarterback and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But he looks so good against Miami. He had flashes of brilliance against the Bills. Again, third stringers, I get it. I feel like you had to go with Justin Fields. And I like Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton's great. Andy Dalton got the Bills back to the playoffs when he was with Cincinnati.
All right.
So he's forever going to be in one of my favorites. But I think at this point when you're picking between Dalton and Fields, and heck, even Nick Foles, even though he's on the roster, I think you got to go with Fields.
Yeah, I really find it hard to believe that they didn't go with Fields after how he looked. But at the same time, I mean, I see it. They signed Andy Dalton for a reason.
Yeah.
So I feel like they're just going the route. Like, obviously, they're just going to look at it. They're going to see how it goes. If in week 3 he's thrown 6 picks and 2 touchdowns, by all means, they'll see ya and get Justin Fields in there and start him a little bit earlier than I guess they want to. But yeah, I can't believe they didn't go with Fields, and I'm still just perplexed that Nick Foles is still on the team. That blows my mind.
Yeah. He'll probably get traded somewhere and be a backup somewhere for them. It's so weird to see his football, man, from coming in to win a Super Bowl to all the way down to where he is now.
I know.
Excuse me. Yeah, you probably heard that muted. I got the mute button just in time. Look at that.
Nice.
Pro move. But yeah, no, we'll go down now to Jacksonville, and what a shock. Trevor Lawrence is starting quarterback.
Yeah, I feel like after 2 preseason games, there was some legit concern.
Yeah.
And there was some justification in saying, you know what, Gardner Minshew, why not? He's already been here a couple of years. Like, let him go, and whenever the time is right, throw in Trevor. But the third preseason game, I thought Trevor looked a lot better, and I do think it's the right move. I mean, why not? You drafted him number 1 overall for a reason. Like, put him in there and let it go. You have nothing to lose. You're literally awful.
Yeah.
So let him go, put him in there, and then they traded Gardner Minshew.
Yeah, to the Eagles. That was interesting to see what happens between him and Hurts, because Minshew showed flashes of brilliance, I thought, in Jacksonville. It's just there's not a whole lot around him besides Chark and Cooper, the throw to. Now with ETN out, your running game becomes a question mark.
Yeah, I know. I hate that for ETN too. That sucks.
Yeah. But yeah, Lawrence, 11 of 12, 139 yards and 2 touchdowns against the Cowboys. Most of the first teamers got his first professional touchdown pass to Farrah Cooper from South Carolina. So interesting to see the Clemson Carolina connection.
I love that.
In the pros. Yeah, like Jacksonville's not going to be good this year. I don't know if they're going to be good under Urban Meyer, because I just don't know how he's going to do as an NFL coach. But
you see that meme where it says he's ready to fake a heart attack?
I saw that, yeah. But yeah, no, I think Trevor Lawrence, if they can have some semblance of an offensive line, and they've done a good job of having him run plays where he gets the ball out quick. They're going to run a lot of screens, a lot of slants.
Yeah.
And, they're going to try to run a lot of pitches and stuff. So that's been a good thing I've seen from the Jaguars. But, man, if they can get some semblance of offensive line, just let him throw it up and see what happens. Because he had a beautiful pass to Laviska Shenault in the back corner of the end zone against the Cowboys. And, man, if you can just let him do that, the Jaguars could be dangerous. But, it's going to be too early to tell whether or not Fields or Lawrence going to be great in the NFL. They may both be busts. They may both be Hall of Famers. But it's too early to tell. It's just weird situations for both of them.
All right. So, talking about Trevor, what he's got on offense, like they're not going to be that good, and he doesn't have a whole lot of names. I mean, he's got James Robinson in the backfield, who was obviously very good last year.
Yeah,
and I'll be interested to see if he's going to keep that up or what's going to happen with him. And at wide receiver, Chark, who's somebody that's been there. Farrell Cooper, who's not really a starter, but he's been around. He's been in other He's been kind of a journeyman to this point. So I mean, he's been around the NFL. He's got experience. But then you have Marvin Jones Jr. who came over from Detroit.
Yeah.
Which I think he's gonna be
interesting.
good. And Chenault's good too. Chenault they use it a bunch of different ways. Like I
Chenault played quarterbacks in college, so they can put him anywhere.
Yeah. So and they have Laquan Treadwell, which if you don't remember that name, go look up the play where he breaks his ankle. It's nasty. And against maybe Auburn or LSU, one of them. But anyway, Laquan Treadwell coming out of college was, oh my gosh, unreal. I thought he was going to be the next freaking like Randy Moss, and he just ended up being terrible. But if he can figure out anything, I think this is a good quarterback to have behind you to help you, get your swagger back.
Defensively, I feel bad for Trevor because he's going to have to play keep up. Now, they have a good linebacking core of Josh Allen, Kalavion Chason, Miles Jack, Shaq Quarterman. And CJ Henderson's a pretty good corner, but, man, it's going to be tough. He's going to have to be playing keep up with a lot of these teams, especially in the AFC South, where over the past few years, the AFC South had great offenses and not great defense, except for the Colts with Darius Leonard and all of them. So that's it. But, yeah, I think yeah, it'll be interesting. Again, you have nothing to lose if you're the Jags this year.
All right.
But I think, after a while, you're going to have to get it. They start off with the Texans and the Broncos, 2 winnable games. So we'll see what they can do there what they can do with those games. And then Cardinals, Bengals, you get to see Joe Burrow and Trevor Lawrence again.
Yeah. That freaking that week 1 game against Houston is going to be just so bad.
Because
especially if Houston trades Deshaun Watson to Miami or something. Oh my gosh.
Yep, because right now the starter is Tyrod Taylor, who again, I love. Go Bills. Tyrod's old.
Oh god.
Tyrod's in his 11th season.
That's gonna be bad, dude.
And your other options are Jeff Driscoll and Davis Mills, the rookie from Stanford.
Oh.
Now you have Mark Ingram and Philip Lindsay. I forgot Philip Lindsay is on that team now.
Mark Ingram's washed.
Yeah. This is an old team. Holy cow. Yeah, wide receivers are old too. Kiki Kuti, it's the only young one I've seen. Oh, Nico Collins, he's a rookie out of Old Michigan.
Yeah.
And Andre Roberts, Citadel, but he's been special teams his entire career. God, this is an old offense. Yeah, that first game is going to be ugly if Deshaun Watson does not play, which he's probably not going to play.
Right.
So we'll see. We'll see. Going on, next team, look at Teddy Bridgewater, starting quarterback for the Broncos.
Yeah.
I think that was basically expected to see.
Yeah.
It's disappointing to see Drew Lock. Drew Lock had some of those games where he looked like the next big thing.
Oh yeah, he looked like he was going to take over the league,
and he just kind of fell off a bit, got hurt. Of course, the Broncos had that weird situation last year at quarterback where they had to throw in a wide receiver from Wake Forest. Drew Lock's career stats, 16 touchdowns of 15 interceptions, less than 3,000 yards. He's a fine game manager. I don't know if Teddy Bridgewater is your answer because Teddy wasn't the answer at Carolina. Yeah. And that's why they got Sam Darnold. So,
right.
I think the Broncos, the Broncos are in that have just fallen since that Super Bowl. When Peyton Manning left, they've just been kind of wandering the wilderness looking for a quarterback.
Yeah.
And they tried Paxton Lynch. They tried Brett Ripien, who's on this roster still. Drew Lock, Teddy Bridgewater, Brock Osweiler, of course, is the big one. They just threw a bunch of money at and didn't work. You still got Melvin Gordon, who has shown flashes, but is interesting. Philip Lindsay, of course, had that one great year and then was traded.
Yep.
You do have Jerry Jeudy.
Yeah.
And KJ Hamler as receivers. So you have a good little receiving core that I think you can build around. Jerry
Cortland Sutton as well. Cortland Sutton from SMU. I mean, if he didn't get hurt last year, that kid's good.
Yeah.
He's really good.
But you gotta get him the ball. And I don't know if Teddy's the answer. Teddy, great quarterback early in his career.
Yep.
I just don't see it.
Yeah, ever since he got hurt in Minnesota, it's been.
And it's a great story. Glad he's back. I'm glad he's back. But man, I don't know if he's ever going to be up to that talent again. So
yeah,
it's disappointing. But, I think he's a guy that I think as right now, if you're the Broncos, you just got to kind of wait and see what happens and wait till the next draft.
Yep.
And maybe you get Sam Howell,
Yeah, right.
Other ones, of course, Jameis Winston got the job for the Saints last week. I think that's a good idea. It's weird they threw all that money at Taysom Hill, though, to not play quarterback. But
that's
at
true.
least somebody made a point. I think it was Dan Orlovsky made the point. At least he can contribute in other ways.
Right.
Like, you can put him at wide receiver, you can put him at running back. But it's just, man, that's a whole lot of money you threw.
Oh, yeah.
Not the start.
Right.
And the Eagles quarterback room, I have no clue.
Me either.
Like, they have Jalen Hurts, Joe Flacco, and Gardner Minshew now.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't see either all three of them doing anything spectacular. Jalen Hurts showed flashes.
Yeah.
I'm willing to give him more of a chance, but Flacco's older. Minshew, I think, again, shown flashes, but
yeah,
interesting to see. But
it ain't gonna be Joe Flacco. Let me tell you that. His elite seasons have passed him.
Yeah.
And Gardner Minshew, that for sure not. So Hurts going in there. I think Hurts has the skill set. Yeah, the skill set to make something special in Philly. Especially with the addition of somebody like Devontae Smith and a playmaker on the outside. And then who's their running back? Miles Sanders.
Mm-hmm. They have JJ Arcega-Whiteside too as a wide receiver.
Yeah.
He's been solid. So
shout out Dorman High School.
Yep. And Travis Fulham. Good. They have decent little receivers. Jalen Reagor from TCU had a good year. And Devontae Smith, they added him in the offseason.
Yeah.
And Zach Ertz and Dallas Goedert are still two dangerous tight ends. So if he can get the ball out to people, he'll be pretty good. But it'll be interesting to see. I don't know if that's your guy for the year or what you do with him. But, yeah, Eagles will be an interesting team to watch this year for sure.
Yeah.
The NFC East, of course, might as well also be, just horrible again this year. And somebody sneaks into the playoffs at 9-7.
Yeah, it's probably not going to be that good, but I think Washington's going to take it.
Yeah. It'll be Washington or Dallas, I think. If Dak stays healthy.
Yeah.
That'll be an interesting team. We'll talk about that more when we get closer to the NFL season. But I'm going to move on now to – I'm going to tell you the story. I forget to tell you this. Have you heard anything about the Bishop-Sycamore High School football team?
Yes, a little bit. You did send me the article and I did read it tonight. So yes, I know now.
Yeah. So if you don't know about this,
everybody else,
ESPN this weekend has a high school, or the first weekend usually of, or last weekend of August, right before football season, has this high school showcase weekend. They show a bunch of these high school teams on ESPN. Usually the best recruits like Arch Manning and his high school played on Friday. We've seen Jadeveon Clowney played in it when he was in high school at South Point. A lot of big-time high schools. Well, IMG Academy, they're in Florida. It's a big-time sports school. People will go there just to play sports from all over the country.
Right.
And number one high school in the nation. They go up to Ohio and play Bishop-Sycamore in Canton at the Hall of Fame Stadium. It's on a Sunday. You're like, okay, well, whatever. During the week, there are people from Ohio saying, we've never heard of this school. That's interesting. Well, new schools pop up all the time. Like, Fountain Inn High School just popped up here in South Carolina.
Yep.
South Point was a new school. So maybe it's one of those schools where they just have a bunch of talent real early. Bishop-Sycamore played 6 games last year and went 0-6. And they also played IMG Academy last year and lost that game 56-0. Now, IMG goes up and wins this game 58-0. And so people start asking questions. Why was Bishop-Sycamore chosen to play IMG? Turns out Bishop-Sycamore is a bunch of liars because they told the broadcasters, including Anish Shroff, who's one of the best broadcasters at ESPN, knows what he's talking about, that they had a bunch of Division I bound players, a bunch of college stars. It's going to be a great game. They looked up these players, and they are not even in recruiting bases. Now, you're starting to think this is weird. Is this school real? Well, it's an online-only charter school. The website is horrible. The About Us section is blank. There's zero mention of the education you can get whatsoever. There's a blog. Yes, there's a blog on a school website. And it's not listed in the directory for the Ohio High School Athletic Association. So the team exists. This is the second year. But here's the crazy part. They played on Sunday, right? That's what I told you. Played Sunday afternoon.
Yeah.
They played a game on Friday, too.
Yeah.
They went to Pennsylvania to play a school, Stowe Rocks High School in Pennsylvania, and lost 19-7. Both these schools also wore black jerseys, which, hold on a minute.
Yes, I saw that picture in there. That's so dumb.
Yeah,
How
that
stupid.
should have been the first one. And so people were like, well, maybe those are like the JV team. No, that quarterback is the same quarterback, and he also played DB in both those games. And there's a screenshot of the players from the Friday game and from the Saturday game. This is from Ben Koo on Twitter. Had that. Let's see. And they said the president of Paragon Marketing Group, Rashid Ghazi, whose company scheduled the game, had no idea they played on a Friday and had no idea Bishop-Sycamore was probably not a real school. This whole thing is insane. Bishop-Sycamore also will play 0 home games this year. They're going to go to Connecticut to play a game. They're going to go to Florida. They're going to go to Texas to play the number 5 team in the country next week, I believe. And also, by the way, get this, Waffle, I don't know if you heard this. Their coach, I believe his name's Rudy Johnson. Yeah, their coach has an active arrest warrant in his name.
Oh, my God. Okay, I did not know that.
Yeah, that got added today. That was just found out today. More people were digging into this all day, and that got found out today.
Oh, my gosh. It's just a never-ending sea of lies. And, like, while it is a real school, it's how can somebody not know?
Yeah.
How can you not, in doing your due diligence, like when you're researching a team or when like a team, like I'm sure to do these games, it's not just picked by ESPN.
Mm-hmm. It's put on this company, and it's like, how do you not research this game? Like, they went 0-6 last year.
Yes. And already lost to this team. And so you're going to put them in the ESPN High School Showcase. Mm-hmm. That's supposed to be some of the best games all season. You're going to put them in that when they lost to this same team by more than 50 points last year. Do you really think they got that much better that they're going to compete with IMG Academy? No.
Yeah, like there are several schools in Ohio are more deserving. I mean, you can think of all the college players from Ohio that have gone on to do great things. Like, Joe Burrow recently could have gotten his high school in Athens.
Yeah.
Play them. You could have gotten some big high school in like Cleveland or something. Since there's a school across the street from the Canton Stadium that's actually really good at football, I believe, is what they said. And they were like, why are they not playing them?
Right.
So, yeah, that was just a weird type of deal. It's been a fascinating story to look into. SB Nation is where the article I've been looking at. Barstool Sports had a good one last night. It was the first one I got. So you'll find it. Just look up Bishop-Sycamore High School and you'll find articles. It is insane. It's hilarious. It's dangerous because these kids playing games on a Friday and a Sunday.
Right.
Which is wild. But, it's, that's somebody had to have money somewhere.
Something. I still can't believe how somebody let this happen. How somebody really let them come out and play on a Friday night and then play again on a Sunday. The same kids against IMG Academy of all teams. Like, that's ridiculous.
Yeah. All right. Well, now it's time for the best play I saw this week. I didn't get to go to any high school games, but I'll show you my play soon. But Waffle, you got to see a inter-county clash down in Greenwood this weekend.
Yeah, I did. I got to see Emerald High School, who I went and watched last week. I talked about Emerald in 96. I got to see Emerald play Greenwood High School, which is the biggest high school in Greenwood County. It's a 4A school. South Carolina runs on. The biggest is 5A. So Greenwood used to be 4A back when that was the biggest classification. They recently switched to 5A, so Greenwood stayed in 4. But Greenwood's coming off a pretty good year last year, and going into this game like I expected it to be, kind of sided on Greenwood's side, just because they are bigger. They got a little bit better athletes than Emerald's got, and Emerald is kind of on the come up, and I think Emerald is going to be very competitive once they get into their region play. But Emerald coming into this game, I was just looking for anything out of Emerald just to say that they could compete with somebody that was better than them. But this game was good, better than what the score says. The final score was 35-7, but Emerald did have their chances. Emerald was down at one point 20-7 and forced a turnover, so they could have gone with the ball there. And if they'd have scored, it could have been a whole different game, but they ended up going 3 and out, which eventually spelled their fate for the game. But there's 2 plays that I got that I want to show everybody. So first one, we're somewhere in the third quarter, if I remember correctly. And there's a running back for Emerald. He gets the ball, and he's running on the right side. And he comes, and I promise you, from where I was sitting in the stands, it looked just like you're playing NCAA 14 and you're bearing down on somebody with that linebacker, and you flick that stick up. And I don't know if we could pull up. We need to find a video of that to put in here.
Yeah,
just a video of the kid. It just hits him, and it's just perfect. It's just so quick. Like Emerald running back Greenwood guy hits him high, and he's just pop straight down. And it was just so perfect. And the only thing I thought about was, wow, I really want to go play NCAA 14 right now. But that one was good. And then the second one I got is we got Greenwood High running back, number 25. It's coming around the edge. He shakes off a tackler with a good little truck stick, but then he absolutely truck sticks the referee in just like a 20-yard run. That was so good. But it's later on in the game, kind of garbage time, but he trucks one Emerald guy, and then he absolutely trucks a referee. And I remember I texted Richard, and I was like, I got my play of the week. And then 10 or 15 minutes later, I was like, nope, new play of the week. Got a different one, but this dude just trucked the ref. So, but yeah, those are really good. 2 good plays in the game that I got to watch Friday night.
So yeah, that was, just fantastic. I mean, anytime you can get a pair of truck sticks like that, just fantastic. And just literally, it was just like, I got my play of the week. And I was like, oh, that's cool. 5 seconds later, never mind. I got another one. So yeah, that's a great play of the week. And now normally I would stick to the high school as well, but I had to go to the NFL this week. I think I saw the most soulless Hail Mary touchdown of all time. First of all, the Jets have this player named Kenny Yeboah. He's balled out in the preseason. It's a wide receiver. And he caught a Hail Mary pass from James Morgan, the quarterback, against the Eagles this weekend. And to end the game, put the Jets down by 2 as time expired. This is the most nonchalant catch on a Hail Mary I've ever seen in a preseason game.
Yes, it is.
The funniest part is the Jets then go for 2 because you have to at that point. There's no time left. And they get it. Josh Adams runs it in. And that's the game.
Yeah.
It's a tie.
It's just over.
The win probability chart on ESPN is hilarious. Because the Eagles have a 99.3% chance to win when with 13 seconds left before this Hail Mary happens.
Yeah.
And it goes all the way down to tie.
Yeah.
So instead of seeing it go that might be funnier than seeing it go all the way from one team all the way down to the other team.
Right.
Because that one you kind of expect it. But I saw that, and I just had to watch it because I was like, that's the most soulless, non-caring, does not matter Hail Mary I've ever seen in my life.
Well, the biggest thing for me is like, you've got 4, let me count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I see 6 Eagles.
Yeah.
And 3 Jets. And it's just like the Eagles have so many guys out there, but they do nothing. They absolutely do nothing. And then Yeboah goes up kind of one-on-one with one guy. Got another guy kind of on him, but he just I don't know. He just kind of comes away with it. And then there's hardly any celebrating. Like 16 goes up and hugs Yeboah. You got 38 over here throwing his arms up. Like, what the heck just happened? And now the play's over. I see 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, six Eagles still standing there, just like, what just happened? And I see 2 Jets.
Yeah, like it's a great pass from Morgan. It's a perfect throw.
Yeah,
but that should not happen. There were 3 receivers that had a chance at the ball.
Yeah,
I think. Yeah, 48 kind of slides in there at the last minute. 16 is just there to catch it just in case it goes all out of bounds, and that's it.
Yep.
And then Yeboah. So yeah, it's literally called, if you look on YouTube, it's some highlight heaven, a Hail Mary that will not matter tomorrow. It does not matter.
That is the most accurate description I've ever heard.
That's one of the top comments. It says, as a Jets fan, this will matter for the rest of my life. So you know what? That's fine. Ian Eagle was also on the call of this, which is hilarious, even funnier. And he has so much passion for it, which makes it funnier. So
the best thing about this video is that they get a 2-point conversion and the game's over. That's the best thing about the whole situation. I don't even care about the Hail Mary and the no reactions, the most nonchalant Hail Mary of all time. They literally went for 2, got it, and then it just ended.
Yeah.
What is it, 1946? I don't understand. Why? Why? Even in preseason, like, why tie? I don't understand that.
You know how funny it would be if they wouldn't have gotten that 2-point conversion, though. that would have been the most Jets moment of all time. Even if it's the preseason, even like,
would it then have mattered? I mean, it puts a loss in the column.
No, the funniest actually is if they throw a pick 6, so the Eagles get 2 points, so lose by 4.
Yeah,
get that Hail Mary as the final play of the game. So yeah, that was, I guess, the best play I saw, but it was the funniest one.
Yeah,
it's the funniest situation. So
yeah,
it's a great week in sports. Again, this is gonna be a great weekend. College football is back. Very excited. Like I said, I'll be in Atlanta on Saturday. So if you're in the Atlanta area, hey, you see me at Bobby Dodd, come say hi, hang out. I'm also going to plug some things. Of course, as you know, I'm a grad student at Carson Newman. Thursday, got our first broadcast of the year. 3:00, women's soccer against North Georgia. 5:00, men's soccer against Lee. I'll be on the call for both of those. And then we'll stick around. Football at 7 on Thursday against West Georgia. I'll be doing some of the halftime and post-game show for that one on the radio and online. So check that out if you can. We'd love to plug it and love to have football back. And Waffle, you got anything you want to plug here?
Yeah, just a few things. I got next week first event that I'm working, or athletic event that I'm working for Lander. I'll be doing the public address announcement for volleyball on Wednesday the 8th. So I mean, if you're if you're in the Greenwood area and you want to come out and watch some volleyball and hear my sweet succulent voice, then head on over to Finest Horn Arena, and it starts at 6. So we'll get you fixed. And then the only other thing I got to say is this weekend I'm chilling. Friday night I get off work at 6. I'm gonna get some good food. I'm coming home. North Carolina, Virginia Tech. Got the slate right there. Can't wait to watch that game. And then Saturday it all begins, and I cannot wait.
Nice. Yeah, I gotta work this week. That's the only bad thing about college sports, man. You gotta work most of these times, but man, it's so much fun, and it's gonna be fun. Whatever games I do get to see, I'm gonna enjoy. I'm probably pulling up that Clemson Georgia game on my laptop up in the press box. I'm gonna have to contain my excitement though.
Yeah,
in the press box, and I have to pay attention to Northern Illinois and Georgia Tech too. Man, yeah, it's gonna be exciting. I'm very excited. Yeah. That small taste we got last week, even though games weren't the best, Nebraska, Illinois toward the end did get fun. Yeah. And that kind of gave us a small taste. It's just good to, if you're on social media, to get on there and see people just talking about football again, being excited.
Yeah, so, for sure.
That's
I'll be watching Clemson and Georgia with probably 8 or 9 other Clemson fans as I'm watching Carolina as well. So should be a fun night.
People are going to be going crazy over a Justin Ross touchdown. You're like, oh, yeah, but look at that run by Kevin Harris.
It's Kevin Harris just picked up 12. You see that?
Yeah, it's 31-7, y'all. Look at that. So, yeah, no, very excited this weekend. And, of course, NFL just around the corner after this week. Going to be a lot of fun. And, we're going to be here to talk it with y'all. Thanks for listening and watching. And thank you for supporting your boys. And once again, getting 50 listeners on Phil Apparel. Come at us.
Right here. Right here.
We will fully support you in everything you do. So thank you so much for watching, listening. This has been Breakfast Time with Waffle and Richard. See y'all later, everybody. You've been listening to Breakfast Time with Waffle and Richard. Logos designed by Jen Perry. You can follow Richard on Twitter at Ricardo_knows or on Instagram at RNM1996. Catch up with Waffle at WaffDog on Twitter. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on this Bearded Broadcaster production.